All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages using spiritual spotters. So, look, there's going to be times when you're trying to make these changes, right? You're trying to be a better husband, a better father, kinder, more Christ like, and you just can't do it. Like, it's too hard. You're going to get mad, or, it just seems like too much. So I had this experience the other day, yesterday, and just wanted to share a cool insight I had about using these spiritual spotters. Like in weightlifting, sometimes you have the weight's too heavy and you need a spotter to lift it, help you lift it, right? Or even lift it all the way for you. Let's talk about how to do that. Today, my name is Mike Fraser, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So, wins from guys in my program, the Strong Men, Strong Marriages program. Guys are having increased connection with their kids, enjoying those moments with them. Guys are sleeping in the same bed again. So, they had been sleeping in separate rooms, now in the same bed again. Great win. Feeling more secure in themselves, which is so important and such a big deal, and kind of what we'll be talking about today, too. Wives are opening up more to their husbands, feeling safer is what that means. They feel like they can share more, which is great. That's what emotional intimacy is. That great mental and emotional intimacy that can lead to physical intimacy too, better physical intimacy. So for me, like yesterday, be able to respond beyond my ability by using these spiritual spotters that we're talking about. So first of all, it says Christmas Eve. Maybe you're not listening to this on Christmas Eve, but if you are, Merry Christmas. Have a great day. Holidays, they can be difficult sometimes. So in changing your behavior and responses, it's hard work, right? It does require spiritual, mental, emotional, physical strength, all of this. So if you've been listening, you might know, like, I have this goal, right? Return good for evil this year, in particular with my oldest son, who can be difficult sometimes. So as I've been doing this, that's brought on other related goals kind of along these same lines, and as I've been kind of inspired to keep growing and doing things, and with Elizabeth too. So, but the bottom line is, like, I've tried to do this on my own many times, millions of times, right? Even with the program itself, it's kind of saying, hey, like, rewire your brain to do this, and it's true, right? That is what needs to happen. But there also is this spiritual element that's beyond our own efforts, and that's what I'm wanting to make sure we all understand as we're listening to this as part of the program, that I'm remembering myself. So yeah, the times I've tried to do it on my own, I've failed uh, millions of times, right? So as I was driving home yesterday, I just knew I was not going to be able to return good for evil. If I got attitude for my son, if my wife was responding not the way I was hoping for, I just wasn't going to be able to do it. I was tired mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I just knew, right? It was not going to be a day that I was going to be able to respond how I wanted to. So I asked for help. I prayed for help. I was just like, and I was praying, I just had this idea to ask for spiritual spotters. So yeah, like when you're lifting weights, you have this weight that's too heavy, the spotter comes in, they grab it, they pick it up, they lift it for you, either all the way or like as much as you need to get that weight up, right? So for me to respond in a kind way, I knew I needed help. Like, I knew I needed spiritual spotters to do that spiritual and emotional work that I just could not do on my own. So as I was praying for this, I really felt it. I felt this energy. I felt ability. I felt grounded. I felt peaceful. So, I walked into the house feeling that way, feeling connected, grounded, solid, supported, just carried, almost lighter. So I was able to have an important conversation with my son without responding in anger. He did not respond very well, right? But I didn't respond back with anger. Okay, that's the bottom line. Look, like, they're going to respond in ways that are not great, that are not easy, that are difficult, and the more you rely on them to do that, the more problematic your life will become. And I know this because I've lived it, right? But if we can rely more on God, right? Rely more on that spirit, rely on feeling grounded and solid and connected. So in that moment, right, I was able to respond beyond my ability to do it on my own. Like, I know I had spiritual spotters. Later in that day with my other son, he was given attitude, right? And I still felt that grounded feeling and was able to respond in a kind of way. This morning, you know, still, right, getting attitude from one of my sons, right? And still feeling solid, grounded, able to respond in ways I can be proud of. With Elizabeth yesterday morning, she was frustrated about something, and a lot of times I would take that personal, but kind of beyond my usual ability, I was able to respond in a more calm, understanding way, right? This is beyond my ability, my current ability, right? For sure, you know, um, like uh, responding kindly to these things. Usually, my response is that eye for an eye thing, right? Okay, you're mean to me, I'm going to be mean back. You give me attitude, I'm going to give you a consequence, right? Not that it's wrong to give a consequence, but kind of a consequence of attitude back, right? Anger back. Okay, eye for an eye. But this time I was able to respond, yeah, with love instead of with anger, right? Which was awesome. So the bottom line really is that people, they have a limited amount that they can give you, right? Emotionally, spiritually, sexually from your wife, right? All of that. So the thing is, if you're not grounded in God, if you don't feel that support, first of all, you're never going to be able to get enough of the good, right? No matter how much attention, appreciation, affection, sex your wife gives you, it's not going to be enough because you're going to need to be filled all the time, okay? So that leads to you feeling not enough, her feeling not enough, disconnection, right? You're also going to be very thrown by bad things. So if someone is mean to you, if your wife is irritated, if she seems critical, if your kids are not responding how you think they should, if they're not being obedient, if they're giving you attitude, right? You're going to get very thrown off by that because you're very dependent on how people around you are acting, okay? They're being kind to you, it's easy to be kind back. So this is what that scripture is all about, right? Like, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. So it's easy to be kind to people that are kind to us. It's not so easy to respond with love, to love our enemies, bless them that curse us, do good to those that hate us, pray for those who mistreat us. But that's what a kingdom heart does, and it's probably beyond most of our ability to do right now. And so we need those spiritual spotters, right, to help us, to build us into the men that can do that. Okay, so the good news is that connecting to God is always available, right? We can connect to that. So people are limited in what they can give, God is not. So the more we access that resource, okay, that kingdom of heaven, it's at hand. That's Jesus' message. It's available to us right now. We can have that power. We can have that influence. We can have that support and love and feel carried when things around us maybe aren't going quite the way we want. We can still feel at peace. It's like Jesus sleeping through that storm on the sea, right? We can feel at peace even if the stuff's raging around us, not going, it's not a pretty day on the lake, right? It's stormy. We can still feel at peace. So pray to access it, right? Pray to access it. God can grant you certain ways to do it. Maybe this kind of helped, this idea of spiritual spotters, praying for that, asking for a spiritual spotter. So later in the evening, I was, kind of saying a prayer, hey, like, do my spiritual spotters have names? And kind of got this impression, yeah, like my grandpa Fraser, who's passed away, was one of them that was kind of like helping me get through this. Kind of looking back at his life, he didn't have particularly close relationships with his family. And I think maybe that's part of why, like, that's one of my spiritual spotters. Like, hey, man, let's break the cycle. Let's have these closer relationships. And then kind of felt like Jesus was my backup, or his backup, right? And kind of had this funny impression of like Jesus turning into like the Hulk and, being like, yeah, like, I'll carry it. I've got you. Yeah. So I kind of laughed at that. And look, I think, that's the way God was communicating with me, through like some humor and stuff. And he might communicate with you in a different way, but for me that made sense. And we were able to laugh and just kind of have a good time and feel that communication, that conversation, that connection and relationship, right? The other thing that's cool is that, I was kind of like, man, I'm pretty weak here spiritually and emotionally, and felt like Jesus was like, hey, like, let me show you where you're at, actually. And was actually stronger emotionally and spiritually than I thought, than I was seeing myself. So that felt good, to know that God saw me in that way. And yeah, and like I said, I've continued to feel carried, supported today. It's been great. So just pray for that help. If this spiritual spotter idea resonates with you, awesome. If maybe a different thing resonates with you, great. Just like pray to feel that support, to be able to perform beyond what you can in your relationships. Okay, God's gonna be able to help you to do a lot more than you can do on your own. So if you want to kind of join us in connecting with God so that you can have these great relationships with your wife, with your kids, with the people around you, with yourself, right? With God. That's the one that matters the most. Connection with God, connection with yourself. Okay. Join us at Strong Men, Strong Marriages, and let's do it together, right? So visit strongmen.io. There's a link in the show notes too. You can join our email list, or you can just apply to join. Still kind of considering what this next year is going to look like for Strong Men, Strong Marriages. So yeah, right now, come join us and fill out an application, and we will see you there. So stay strong, men. Merry Christmas, and stay strong in God. We'll see you next episode.